Alright everyone, I'm back. I know I promised you this deck check, so here I am. The deck is nowhere near finished, but I wanted to give you guys a preliminary list and some of my thoughts on how it's been performing and ways to improve the deck currently. So, start off our mana base. Obviously it's Yisan, the Wanderer of Art. Mana base, 33 basic forests with our sweet John Avon 7th edition art. That's actually probably one of my favorite forest arts. The like forest fire being regrown, so to speak. If you've ever seen a forest fire, this is what happens to a lot of the trees that go down. They get covered in moss, and it's part of the process of reclamation. A little bio stuff for you. Alright, three non-basics currently. I don't own a Gaia's Cradle here on Moto. Obviously that would be one that definitely warrants inclusion, but alas I don't have it, so I have the bad, by comparison, Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. Still very potent. Strip Mine and a Yavi Hollow. I could see running a few more and putting fetch lands, green fetch lands in here, untapped fetches. Just to try to thin the deck out even more, get me additional shuffle effects for the Sylvan Library, which is definitely a very good thing to have. So once I try to pick up a set of fetches, obviously all the green ones will be put into here, and all the blues will go into the Vendilion Click. So, three non-basics. Alright, our mana dorks. We have Arbor Elf, Boreal Druid, Elvish Mystic, Fendhorn, and Llanowar Elves. Then we also have the enchantment versions of Utopia Sprawl and Wild Growth. Both typically enchant a forest to combo with Arbor Elf every now and then. And I've realized that Arbor Elf is almost always the correct tutor target with Yisan, because if I draw one of these a turn after I tutor for one, and I decided to get a Mana Dork at one, I definitely want that Mana Dork to be Arbor Elf, because it makes Arbor Elf produce two instead of one. Then we have the Quirion Ranger and Wirewood Symbiote. I actually have the foil. I know, oddly enough, it doesn't really fit with my theme, but the foil was 2 tickets and or 2 or so tickets, and the non-foil is closer to 6 on Moto. So I went with the cheaper version. So this deck can definitely be built for a budget. I certainly did. Then Wirewood Symbiote, the other half of that combo, typically fetched out later in the game, as you've seen me do in my gameplays. Symbiotes after you bounce Yisan once. Then we have our 2 protections at 1. We have Sylvan Safekeeper, if we feel like our creatures can be targeted, and Ranger's Guile. This is honestly going to be one of the first cards I begin to cut on this list. I haven't been thrilled with it thus far, but right now it still gets to keep its spot. Then we have Skull Clamp, Sol Ring, and I added Mana Crypt right here. I wanted to make space for the lands and didn't feel like shifting over every column. You get it on turn 1 anyway, but it gives you turn 1 Yisan, which is just so incredibly insane. And to start activating him on turn 2, you can do some disgusting stuff with Mana Crypt in this deck particularly. 2 drops. Back to Nature is an Enchantment Wrath, Deglamour, and Unravel Either. Both shuffle artifacts or enchantments into libraries. Lignify turns a creature into an 0/4, and it's typically better than like Swords to Plowshares on a commander, because I can actually shut down a commander. Whereas if I Swords it, they just get to recast it in a couple turns. So Lignify is very, very good. Song of the Dryad is currently 6 tickets on Moto. That would be in this deck. You'll notice that it's not, but it's the version of Lignify that turns it into a basic forest instead, but it can hit any permanent, which is pretty nice. So it can almost work as a Stone Rain if you hit something like their Ancient Tomb. They produce 1 less mana. Then I play Naturalize. I play the classic 8th edition Naturalize. I actually prefer this just because it has the William Shakespeare quote on it. Rampant Growth, then we have the Ramp package in addition to everything else, and 3 visits. We have our Boots and Greaves and Boots. there for haste and some protection. Then we have our enchantments, Sylvan Library, and Survival of the Fittest. Probably two of the most broken cards in mono green or in green X decks currently in the format. And then our tutor package of Juru Preserver, Scrib Ranger, Sacro Tribe Elder, which also doubles as Rampant Growth, Priest, which I'm sure you guys have seen me abuse so many times by now, and Elvish Visionary. I put Visionary in just to round out the twos a little bit, just in case I didn't really need the Preserver in the matchup. I'd rather get the Visionary and draw a card for it. 3 drops, I tried to sort these a little bit. So our removal package in 3 is Beast Within, Reclamation Sage, Viridian Corruptor, 2 of which could be tutored off Yisan, which is pretty nice. Our ramp is Wood Elves, which can be tutored off Yisan, and Cultivate. This is our pseudo tutor, Fierce Empath, which can grab Duplicant, Woodland Bellower, Regal Force, Terrastodon, and Woodfall Primus. So having 5 targets in the deck is pretty good. Eventually, Avenger of Zendikar and Craterhoof Behemoth will both be here, except they are 10 and 20 tickets, respectively, I believe, right now on Moto, which is an absurd price tag, and I'm not paying that much for a singleton in the deck. I mean, I did pay that much for Vendilion Click, but that's the commander. Eternal Witness is our recovery effect, and the only reason it's there instead of regrowth is it's a creature, and creatures tend to be abused pretty well. Heartwood Storyteller and Dosan the Falling Leaf, sorry I scrolled down a little bit, are our Hate Bears package. Dosan players are only allowed to cast during their own turns, so if we're planning on trying to go off the following turn, because Dosan's at 3, and then we can go to 4 to get the Sabertooth, we can get Dosan on 3 and Sabertooth on 4 and go off from there, potentially. Storyteller is a slightly worse version of Dosan, but it means that if opponents are trying to counter our things, destroy our things, we actually get to draw cards for them. This deck runs very few non-creatures, and at a certain point, if I play Heartwood Storyteller, my goal is to not have to cast non-creatures because I can just be using Yisan every turn, and they just have to keep giving me advantage until they get rid of it. Then we have our combo package, Azuri Renegade Leader, and Elvish Archdruid, the other copy of Priest of Titania. And our mini land destruction package, which tends to win games on itself every now and then, Winter's Grasp, Thermokarst, and Ice Storm. So, all of them are effectively Stone Rain. One gains me 1 life. It's not terribly relevant. They just cost a slightly differing mana cost. But usually I'll try to cut off colors with these. I won't run them out willy-nilly. I want to cut off a color or cut off a good utility land, ideally. And I get to play these because I play so many mana dorks, and Yisan just tutors out mana for me, that I don't mind tapping 3 of my mana some random turn to destroy 1 of theirs, because it's ultimately going to keep me further ahead if it's guaranteeing that I get to continue to use Yisan. 4 drops, Oracle Moldiah is our ramp at 4, pretty useful. Timbermare is mostly in here as a guaranteed 5 damage to a Planeswalker, because I can untap and Yisan in a Timbermare when they have blockers up and take out whatever they just played, be it JTMS or a Dak Faden or something equally disgusting. Bramble Crush is another pseudo Stone Rain, but it also doubles as an artifact enchantment removal or Planeswalker removal. So it's somewhere between Beast Within and the Rampant Growths, the Naturalized, not Rampant Growths, in the sense that I can destroy any permanent except a creature, but they don't get a creature for it, so it's pretty nice. Chameleon Colossus, one of the alternate win conditions. If they have a very wide board or they are mono black, generally getting Colossus into play can close out the game against them, especially when I can start pumping it with all of my mana that I can produce. Harmonize, just good card advantage in mono green. 4 mana is nothing for the deck. Moonvoli Acid Moss, probably our best Stone Rain effect. It says destroy land, search my library for a forest, and put the card in the battlefield tapped. So it has the effect of Rampant Growth. Straightforward, almost Rampant Growth. Because I do have to get a forest. It can be a non-basic forest, though the deck plays no non-basic forests. But so if you think that Rampant Growth costs 2, I'm effectively getting a Stone Rain for 2 mana as well, provided that I can do it all at once. Because it's 2 mana staple, two 2-mana cards stapled together effectively, which is very mana efficient. This is a great card for turning around, and my opponent opening with something like Sol Ring, because they go down 1 mana and I go up 2 mana, up 1 mana. It's a 2 mana swing, and it sort of puts me back on parity with them if they open with Sol Ring. Temur Sabertooth, integral to the combo. I'm sure you guys have seen me use it before. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. And Yisan, Nature's Herald, the newest edition. Yisan was included mostly because if I can make a ton of mana but not quite combo off, if I can get like a Regal Force in play in response to a Wrath and make a float ton of mana, I want to have Yisan, Nature's Herald in my hand for all of that mana to go in the deck. So if I have draw it off the Regal Force or something, or I can tutor it out with Yisan, I want to have some place for all that mana to go, like casting stuff or casting Whisperwood Elemental, just so that I'm not losing mana on turns when I didn't do anything or they decided to Wrath me. 5 drops. Only play 3 of them. I might increase this to a 4th. I'm not quite sure when I want yet, but I think I need a 4th in here somewhere. I also kind of want to have another way to return Yisan to my hand at a mana cost higher than 4. So that way if I had to go get Timbermare or Oracle or something at the 4 drop, I can reset Yisan. So I'm open to suggestions for that slot anywhere along here. But because I really don't want to spend duplicate on my own Yisan. So currently it's a Whisperwood Elemental, Seedborn Muse, and Acidic Slime. So Acidic Slime destroys things like lands or artifacts and enchantments, and it's a Death Touch or Debut. Seedborn Muse is adequately disgusting in this deck, and I'm sure you guys have seen me abuse Yisan multiple times on my turn, but when I can do that multiple times on every turn, it's pretty good. Whisperwood Elemental is in here mostly for the Wrath Insurance and the fact that it generates an army in a can that is colorless as well. So if they have a Sword of Protection from green and X, the manifests are able to block those sorted creatures, which is pretty relevant every now and then. But the other ability of sacrificing Whisperwood to manifest a card for each creature that I have control that dies is a good way to come back from them trying to Wrath me. Activate Yisan, put the Whisperwood into play, and then immediately use the Whisperwood to make sure I maintain a board presence after a Wrath. 2 6 drops. We have a Woodland Bellower, which will usually fetch something like Eternal Witness or Dosan or Heartwood Storyteller. Sorry, I can't get fetch Dosan, he's legendary. Heartwood Storyteller or Archdruid, that was what I was looking for. Generally because it's just useful to be able to get 2 creatures for 6 mana, and it gives me a second outlet if I don't have Priest and I don't have Archdruid. If I get Yisan to 6, I get Archdruid or Priest out of my deck just for free because I got the Bellower instead. So it gives me those effects at 6 mana, which is really useful. So I have 3 different points along my mana curve that I can use Yisan to get those combo effects. Duplicant's just good solid removal that's on a body. 7 drop, we only have 1, and I want to eventually Avenger of Zendikar will be the second piece here. I definitely need a 7th, I know, but so Regal Force enters the battlefield, draw a card for each green creature you control. It's a very good card draw in mono green. It was just reprinted in Eternal Masters, so if you're trying to pick up a copy, either in paper or on Moto, I recommend buying it now because it's going to be very low for the moment. Then 2 8-drops, generally here to deal with lands, and it's how they will win games. Terrastodon, just disgusting card. Giving them 3/3 elephants for lands, though, it does not make them happy. And a Woodfall Primus is here as the second Terrastodon if I need it. It taps for a little more with Nykthos, but regardless, it deals with 2 things without giving them an elephant. So they're both good in their own respective rights. And the last card in the deck is Green Sun Zenith currently, and Zenith gets anything I want really, and it's my other option when I need something like the Teamer Sabertooth, but I went past 4, I needed to use 4 on something else or something. So, Green Sun Zenith's quite a good card. I really enjoy the deck. I feel like I should probably add in the new Eldritch Evolution as soon as it's released on Moto, which as of the time of this recording will be tomorrow, the 29th, which is the 3 mana sorcery, sacrifice a creature, go get something with its mana cost +2 or less. So if you sacrifice a 3, you can get a 5 or less from your deck and put it into play. And then you exile the Eldritch Evolution. And the other card would be Court of Calling, and put Court of Calling in the deck for all of the Convoke shenanigans that you can do. That's the Yisan deck currently. The cuts that I am thinking of moving towards would be Ranger's Guile, Back to Nature. Let's see. I like the Cultivate in the deck still. If I find something else at the 2 or 3 mana slot that's a creature, I might cut the Cultivate. Maybe Wall of Roots might be better than Cultivate here, but as it stands, Cultivate's pretty useful. I've been not terribly impressed with Whisperwood, but it does fit Surfer role that I need filled. Oh, I skipped. Garruk, Caller of Beasts, is the only planeswalker in the deck. Gets creatures or puts them into play for free. Against control, if you can resolve Garruk, you can probably win the game easily. Yeah, these 2 would be the first cuts in my opinion, for anything other than a land going into the deck. Woodfall Primus is also a potential cut for Craterhoof Behemoth, so I'm not overclocking the top, and Terrastodon is just strictly better than Woodfall Primus 90% of the time. So, Woodfall Primus could probably be a cut if Craterhoof Behemoth is coming into the deck, but as it stands now, I like how it's performing. I could see this becoming a Concordant Crossroads, which is the green world enchantment that all creatures have haste, so that'd just be another source of haste for my Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots combos with Priest of Titania. Because if you've noticed, haste is actually really important for the combo going off. The actual infinite combo instead of just Elf Ball. So I could see Concordant Crossroads, Craterhoof Behemoth, and something else along the mana curve. I feel like I'm actually pretty good on the removal for artifacts and enchantments, because I have the Deglammer, Unravel, Naturalize, Sage, and Beast Within. So I have quite a lot of actual removal, one of which is tutorable off Yisan. So we'll see. I might want to add in a Dryad Arbor because I do have the Zenith in the deck. I just haven't picked up one yet. So we'll see how it goes. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck. We're right about 19 minutes, so I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Any suggestions for my black, white, or red commanders, please leave comments in the description below, and always subscribe if you liked it for more content. I'll be playing a couple of these games soon, and we'll have more up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye now.